Why is it that a single remark, a cold tone, or even silence from someone can completely disturb our peace? It might be just a sentence, a delayed reply, or a message left unread. Yet suddenly the mind refuses to rest. We replay the moment again and again, dissecting every word, every pause, asking ourselves what we did wrong. Long after the other person has moved on, their words continue to echo inside us. This is a quiet form of suffering, rarely spoken about, yet deeply familiar to almost everyone. We don't just hear what was said, we experience it as a judgment of our value. The more personally we take it, the deeper the wound becomes. But here lies a freeing realization. Being hurt is not caused by the outside world itself, but by how the mind interprets it. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha recognized this very pain and offered compassionate, practical teachings, not to make us emotionally numb or avoidant, but to help us develop clarity, wisdom, and inner resilience. Through these teachings, we learn how to stop internalizing everything and gently reclaim our peace. The first insight the Buddha offers is simple yet transformative. Most of the time, it is not about you. When people speak harshly, judge, or ignore us, our immediate reaction is to turn inward and ask, "What's wrong with me?" But in reality, people act from their own inner conditions, their stress, fears, habits, and unresolved wounds. In Buddhism, this is understood through karma and perception. Everyone experiences the world through their own conditioning, not through objective truth. Someone overwhelmed by anxiety may respond sharply without awareness. A person shaped by past betrayal may distrust even kindness. Another, driven by insecurity, may criticize others to feel momentarily powerful. Their behavior is often an expression of their pain, not a measurement of your worth. The Buddha encourages us to pause and reflect. Is this truly about me, or is this another person's suffering speaking? When you stop claiming emotions that were never yours to begin with, you free yourself from carrying invisible weights. You learn to see with compassion instead of self-blame, protecting your peace without excusing harm. This awareness becomes the first doorway to emotional freedom. The second teaching invites us to examine the stories the mind creates. Much of our suffering does not arise from events themselves, but from the narrative we attach to them. A message goes unanswered, that is the fact. Yet the mind immediately fills the silence with assumptions. They're upset with me. I've been ignored again. I must not matter. Within moments, we are no longer reacting to reality, but to a story shaped by fear and old wounds. Buddhism teaches that the mind is a constant storyteller, always trying to explain and predict. The Buddha advised us to see thoughts simply as thoughts, not as absolute truth. When a painful idea arises, instead of believing it, we gently acknowledge, a thought is appearing. That small shift weakens its grip. The same situation can create multiple realities depending on the mind observing it. The wise mind recognizes uncertainty and refuses to jump to conclusions. As the Buddha taught, the mind can become a prison of its own making, but awareness is the key that opens the door. The third teaching is the strength of non-reaction. The Buddha once illustrated this by comparing anger to a gift. If someone offers it and you refuse to accept it, it remains with the giver. We often suffer not because words are spoken, but because we immediately receive them, personalize them, and react. Non-reaction does not mean suppression or weakness. It means conscious presence. When irritation arises, we pause, breathe, and observe without feeding it. We notice the tightening body, the urge to respond, the storm forming within. That awareness creates space, and within that space lies freedom. Reaction is automatic, but response is a choice. When we choose not to engage, we protect our peace and prevent suffering from continuing its cycle. This is not avoidance, it is mastery. You become steady, like a mountain in the midst of strong winds, untouched by what passes through. The fourth teaching asks us to release the identity we feel compelled to defend. Words hurt most when they threaten the image we hold of ourselves. Criticism feels painful because it challenges the version of me we are attached to. But Buddhism offers a radical insight. The self is not fixed or permanent. Who you are today is not who you were years ago, and even now you are constantly changing. The Buddha called this anatta or non-self, not meaning you don't exist, but that the self you cling to is fluid, not solid. When you truly see this, the need to defend dissolves. Criticism loses its sting, praise loses its control, and labels lose their authority. There is nothing permanent to protect. Freedom arises when you stop needing to prove who you are and allow yourself to simply be. The final teaching is to respond with compassion rather than ego. When you stop taking things personally, your perception shifts. You no longer see an enemy. You see a human being struggling with their own inner world. Compassion does not mean agreement or submission. It means understanding. A peaceful person does not attack. Hurt comes from hurt. The Buddha taught loving kindness as a form of strength, not softness. When faced with harsh words, instead of defending or striking back, the awakened mind silently recognizes suffering. A simple inward wish, "May you be free from pain," protects your heart from anger and keeps you from absorbing another's chaos. In choosing compassion, you step out of conflict and into clarity. You no longer mirror negativity, you rise above it. At the heart of all these teachings is one liberating truth. You don't need to change others to find peace. The moment you stop taking things personally, you reclaim authority over your inner world. People may still judge, misunderstand, or criticize, but their words no longer define you. You understand that their reactions arise from their conditioning, not your worth. In that understanding, you stop living as a target of emotional harm and become the guardian of your own peace. As the Buddha taught, peace does not begin when the world changes, but when awareness awakens within you. And that awakening has already begun.